He left without a word, and I let him. The evening began like any other. Quiet, unremarkable on the surface. I stood at the kitchen counter, slowly stirring a simmering pot of stew, the aroma of thyme and garlic wafting through the air. The television murmured in the background, a forgettable news segment blending with the occasional clatter of utensils. Across the room, my husband, Adam, was stretched out on the couch, casually thumbing through his phone, stopping now and then to read headlines aloud or chuckle softly at some passing meme. To an outsider, it would have seemed like a perfectly ordinary scene. Domestic, comfortable, even peaceful. But beneath that calm exterior, something inside me had been slowly unraveling. Not tonight, not yesterday, but for months, maybe even years. I'd rehearsed this moment more times than I could count, playing it over in my head while folding laundry, staring at the ceiling at night, or while staring at him across the breakfast table. I shaped the words carefully in my mind, sculpted them into something I thought would feel strong, clear, and complete. But when the moment finally came, they didn't tumble out with the elegance I imagined. It simply fell. Adam's voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Hey," he said casually, not looking up from his phone. "You wanna watch a movie after dinner?" Such a simple question. Harmless. The kind of thing couples ask each other every day. I turned off the stove, the soft hiss of the burner fading into quiet. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, walked across the room, and sat on the edge of the couch, just out of reach but close enough to look him in the eye. My heart was pounding, but when I spoke, my voice came out steady, almost too steady. "You haven't asked me how I feel in over a year." Silence fell like a curtain. The room was still, except for the faint hum of the television. Adam blinked, caught off guard, as if I'd just spoken in a language he didn't understand. Then, after a pause, he offered a small, confused smile, as if trying to laugh it off, like I was being dramatic or too sensitive. But I didn't smile back. I held his gaze, and for the first time in a long while, I let him really see me. The expression on his face changed. The smile faded. He put his phone down slowly, leaning forward, trying to decode what I had just said. I didn't explain further. I didn't need to. That single sentence carried the weight of all the nights I cried silently while lying next to him, of all the times I reached out and got nothing in return, of the way I started to feel like a shadow in my own home. I had once loved him fiercely, completely. But that fire had dimmed, extinguished not by betrayal or abuse, but by neglect. He didn't cheat. He didn't raise his voice. He just stopped seeing me. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. It wasn't defensive. It was tired, confused, maybe even scared. "I did," I replied softly. "Just not in words you ever cared to hear." I stood up and walked back to the kitchen. Not angrily, not dramatically, just when. There was no shouting, no tears, no slamming doors or flying accusations. Just a stillness so profound it echoed louder than any argument. Behind me, I heard the couch creak as he rose. I expected him to say something more. Anything. But instead, he grabbed his car keys from the hook by the door, and without a glance backward, he stepped outside. The soft click of the door closing sounded final. I waited, unsure whether he'd return in 5 minutes or 5 hours. But the door stayed shut, and the silence stayed with me. He didn't come back that night, or the next. That evening, I sat at the dining table alone, the stew untouched, growing cold in its bowl. The house felt larger somehow, emptier. But oddly, I wasn't afraid. There was a strange comfort in the silence, a hollow space that was mine alone. In the days that followed, there were no calls, no texts, no questions, just absence. And maybe that's what hurt the most. Not that he left, but that he didn't try to stay. That he didn't fight for the life we had built. That he didn't ask what I needed, even after it was too late. But sometimes things don't end with a dramatic blow-up. Sometimes love fades so gradually, so quietly, that by the time it's gone, all that's left is a whisper. He didn't slam the door. He didn't scream or cry. He just walked away. and I let him.